So up everyone, been a while since the last YouTube video. Today I'm going to be going through a beginner's guide to getting in shape. So this is going to go over everything from training to nutrition to sleep and pretty much everything else in between that you need to know if you're just starting out. This is the exact guide I wish I could have seen when I was starting out in the gym 5 or 6 years ago. I know when you're just starting out, everything is kind of conflicted, all the information is mixed in together, you don't really know what the most important parts are, so that's my aim with this video, is to try and break it all down for you. So the number one thing you should do before you even think of stepping foot in the gym is identifying your goal. Because everything that you go and implement from here on out is going to be pretty much based on what your answer to this question is of what your goal is. Ask yourself, are you looking to build muscle or are you looking to lose fat? Which is your main priority? Now, of course, you might have some other goals as well. I'm just generalising here. This is what most people are going to watch me for and what most people are getting into the gym for. As I said, knowing and identifying your goal is very important for your next steps. Now, for pretty much 90% of people, I'd suggest bulking. The only reason I'd start out with a cut is if you're actually overweight and you need to lose some weight. The reason I think most people should bulk is you want to build a good frame of muscle and then you can start worrying about cutting and leaning down maybe after a year or two after you've built that solid base. Once you have your goal set and you know what you're aiming towards, the next thing you want to worry about is just starting out with the basics. Everybody starting out is always asking what's the best workout plan to follow, what are the superfoods that you have to eat to lose fat when they haven't even stepped foot in the gym yet. This is the thing, and so many people nowadays just procrastinate about everything. I'd say if you're watching this video, you probably know what you have to do to get in shape. You know that you need to exercise more and you need to eat better. You probably need to sleep better as well. I could end the video right there. They're the basics that you need to be hitting. So what are the small things I'd suggest that you'd worry about starting out? I'd say get yourself to the gym 3 times a week. Don't worry too much about what workout split you're following just yet. Just get in the habit of showing up at the gym 3 times a week. I'd also suggest try and keep a close eye on your diet right from the start, but don't go and try and change anything drastically just yet. I always find when you come in right away with your diet and start trying to make wholesale changes and changing everything about your nutrition drastically, it all just comes crumbling down and falling apart after the first 2 weeks or so. So start small with the diet. I wouldn't even try and worry about anything, just be more conscious of what you're having. Also, an underrated one. Well, I'd like to say underrated, but at this stage everybody tells you should do it, but I feel like not everybody explains why. Try and get yourself a consistent sleeping routine. If you can lock in a sleeping routine, go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, Monday through Sunday, even at the weekends, try and wake up at the same time every day. You're going to find yourself waking up with a lot more energy in the morning time, and you're also, in my opinion, going to end up having much better days. At least that's the experience I have. Also, another basic, just for your health, get outside more, drink more water. Most of us are dehydrated most of the time. And then another obvious one, I don't need to tell you this, try your best to limit your vices like alcohol that everybody knows is bad for your health. I love a drink when I'm out as much as the next person, any of my mates will tell you that, but when it comes to controlling your health and trying to take a grasp of things, I would try and limit it. Next, I want you to set some exact goals for yourself and get a time frame in place for them goals as well. So if you set precise goals, it's going to give you a target and a time frame. For example, get fitter isn't a good goal. Be able to run 5k in under 24 minutes by December the 1st is a much better one. It says exactly what you want to be able to do by exactly which date. Now, depending on what your main goals are, obviously these targets are going to be a little bit different for you. If you're just looking to get into the gym and build some muscle, running 5k in a certain time isn't going to be one of your main priorities. You might set some sort of a strength goal for yourself, so even though your goal isn't to actually build strength, it's more so to put on size. Strength and size are correlated, as I'll come on to later, so you can set a target maybe for your bench press or for your squat or whatever it may be. Going a little bit more into the nitty gritty of stuff now, what you should actually do for training once you've built that habit of going to the gym 3 times a week. So for pretty much every beginner, anybody I train, I mainly try and get them to stick to 3 days a week, at least for the first couple of months that they're training consistently, and I get them to follow a full body workout split. Any good full body split, because you're training with quite low volume for each workout, you want to get the most bang for your buck with them compound exercises, so we're talking bent over rows, bench press, overhead press, pull-ups, all that sort of stuff. So what I'd do if I was you, I'd make 2 workouts for myself, or find 2 workouts online, 2 full body workouts, and just alternate between them. So for example, if you're starting out with chest both days, one day you might do a flat bench press, the other day you might do an incline dumbbell press, just for example. On one day your main quad exercise might be leg press, the other day it might be walk and lunge. So say for example you're training Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week and you've got 2 workouts changing between them. So Monday in the first week, do full body A, Wednesday full body B, Friday back to full body A, and by the time it comes to the following Monday, then you're starting out with full body B for that week, and you get the idea. Just keep alternating it like that. Always track your workouts and your lifts and make sure you're progressing from session to session. As I was saying before, progressing in your training is one of the most important things for building muscle. And when it comes to your training, it actually is the most important aspect. Make sure you're progressing, getting stronger and stronger every session with your main lifts. Now, nutrition is a little bit more nuanced. I should have mentioned before with training as well, that applies whether you're bulking or cutting. You won't be weight training. Your nutrition is going to have a bigger difference between when you're bulking and cutting. To be honest, your nutrition is the main thing that separates a phase of bulking and cutting. That's what's going to change the most. So no matter what, aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight. Make sure you're maximising your potential to build muscle and recovering properly from all your workouts. You can track your calories and your protein on MyFitnessPal. It's an app you'll find on the App Store. The thing with it is it can get kind of repetitive. So that's why you want to track it really closely for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then after that, I find you can mostly estimate the amount of calories and the protein that you're having in each meal, because you've already built up that time of tracking in your field and you've just got that experience now. And them 3 or 4 weeks, if you're being accurate and tracking everything closely, that can pay off for you for years to come. For bulking, I'd suggest going no more than a 200 calorie surplus, so you're not gaining much unnecessary fat on top of the muscle that you want to build, obviously. The reason for the surplus, it's going to give you slightly more energy for the gym. You're going to be able to lift more and in turn be able to build more muscle. And then also the calorie surplus, it's putting your body in an anabolic state, which is obviously going to make it easier for your body to grow muscle. For when you're cutting, I'd suggest a deficit anywhere from about 200 to 500 calories. Now, the reason I'm giving this range is you might want to start off small, closer towards that 200 range, and then the more comfortable you get with your cut and the further you're getting along, you can start to increase that deficit up to about 500 or so. Anything more than that I find is quite unsustainable, especially if it's your first time ever cutting. So I try and keep it as sustainable as possible. Keep the deficit low, stay patient, and the weight will come off. The last slide I want to go through then is just a few other things that you should be probably paying attention to. So a lot of people track steps and they're going to include cardio in the program as well. Now, what your step target should be and how much cardio you're doing is also largely going to depend on whether you're cutting or bulking. If you're cutting, it's going to play a huge part. Trying to increase the steps, trying to increase the cardio, as well as increasing your calorie deficit is ultimately what's going to be needed down the line to push through any plateaus. When you're bulking, still think it's good for your health. Get outside, get some vitamin D, get a few steps in. Same with cardio for your heart health. I wouldn't suggest just turning into a meathead. Do a bit of cardio. You don't want to just do weights all the time. Hydration as well, went through it in the basic section. Drink plenty of water, use electrolytes as well for a bonus. Sleep, you want to be aiming for 7 to 9 hours a night. Experiment a little, find what works for you if you don't already know. And as I mentioned before, try and have a consistent routine. Focus on the quality of your sleep as well. It's not just all about how long you're sleeping for or the quantity of it, it's about the quality too. So try and sleep in a cold or kind of cool room. You'll always notice it's easier to fall asleep in a room that's too cold than a room that's too hot. So that's why you want to have your room at kind of a cool temperature for falling asleep. That's going to optimize your sleep then. Another thing that can mess around with your sleep quality a little bit is looking at too much blue light late on in the evening. You can get blue light blocking glasses, or even before bed, try and read a book or do something like that to wind down instead of just scrolling all the time on social media or watching telly. But that being said, I always find that watching telly, now I always wear blue light blocking glasses, so that's probably the reason why. I always find watching telly before bed and I actually get a good sleep. But if I'm on my phone scrolling through social media, I think it might be more the stimulation that you actually get from looking at that as opposed to watching telly, where it's just a lot more passive and relaxing. But yeah, I'd definitely try and limit phone time anyway in hour and a half before bed. Last thing I mentioned, although I probably should have said it at the start, track your progress right from the start with some measurements and some pictures as well as the scales. So you can find yourself in a situation where a couple of months down the line your body could look completely different, but your weight on the scales could be the exact same. I don't actually know what my exact weight on the scales was when I started in the gym. I'm pretty sure it was around the 60 kilo mark. I never tracked it like as it was going up and as it was building muscle, but now obviously when I'm starting off training people and coaching people, I get them to get their weight as well. And there's people who could start out at 75 kg and after 4 months they're still at 75 kg, but their body looks completely different they've built muscle and they've lost fat simultaneously, their body composition's completely changed for the better, but the scales is telling them they're the exact same weight. So that's what I'm saying. Get your body measurements and get some progress pictures right from the start as well. You can compare them then on maybe a fortnightly or a month by month basis and see how they're progressing. So if your goal is fat loss, for example, if your waist measurement has gone down, even if your scales are staying the same, you know you're losing body fat. And I'd imagine something like your arms and your legs might be going up then if you're building muscle at the same time. Same with your pictures, self-explanatory. You're not going to see a big change in the mirror from day to day. But if you're taking pictures 3-4 weeks apart and comparing after 2 or 3 months, I promise you'll see a big difference if you're putting in the work and staying consistent. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching all the way, guys. A little bit longer than any other video I've done so far, but I hope you've got the value out of it and you've watched all the way with it. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.